There is, I mean, it's a long way to tip a canary. Does anybody use that reference anymore? Um, it's a long way to tip a canary. By the way, when I was a kid, I knew I used to, for a short period of time, I was really into these jokes. There were jokes that people would tell that were real. They would take like 5 minutes to tell. And then they would have a stupid pun that was a punchline. I don't know if you ever remember. I can remember a few of them. But there was one where he talked about a guy who, his family had been attacked by this bird. His parents had been killed by a bird, and the bird was living all the way on the other side of the country. And so the guy set off to walk 1,000 miles, and he walked. And you tell this whole story, you really build it up. And he walks all the way from California to, the East Coast. He's walking and he's walking. And he finally gets there and he sees the bird. And the bird has been sitting in a bird cage on the edge of a cliff. And he sneaks up behind it, and he shoves the bird cage off the cliff, and it tumbles down. And his partner's been with him the whole way, and then his partner goes, "That's a long way to tip a canary." So that's that was a style of joke. I used to love those jokes, and I had bruises on my arm. The people had punched me so hard from telling these stupid jokes. There was one I remember was there was this valley. There was a town, a tiny town of tiny little creatures, and they were like Smurfs. But they were called Trids. Anyway, it was very much a Smurf kind of a thing, right? So they just for a whole year, an entire year, they would party every single day. On New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, after the entire year, there was this giant that would come out of he would come over the mountains, and he would come down, and he would just attack the Trids. He would just kick them everywhere. He would just kick them to the left, kick them to the right. They would go flying. He would kick them all, And then he would leave. He'd say, after he kicked all the Trids, he would leave, and he'd go back. And so the Trids tried things for years and years, to stop this. Every year they knew that the giant was going to come kick them around, and they didn't like that, but they tried to stop it. They tried to build little detours and build roadblocks, but it was a giant. He just stepped over him. He kicked those out of the way, and so they finally, the Trids, they went outside their village, and they went to this local church, and there was a rabbi there, and he tells the rabbi, they were like, "This giant comes and kicks us, and we don't know what to do." And he says, "Well, you guys shouldn't have to put up with that, so I will come." So they wait the entire year, and at the end of the year, they know it's New Year's Eve, they're partying, but they're like, "We know the giant's coming tomorrow." And the giant comes, and then he's coming up on the village, and the Trids are scattering, And the rabbi comes out, and he goes, "Stop!" And the giant looks down at him, and the rabbi says, "These people have done you no harm. The Trids have not hurt you. If you have to kick somebody, kick me. Don't kick the innocent Trids. If you must kick someone, take your anger out and kick me." And the giant looks down at him and says, "No, silly rabbi, kicks are for Trids." Oh boy, there's some bad ones. I used to know a million of them. I can almost feel the pain in my shoulder now. Bammo! There was a it might be the cough syrup. Roy Rogers. And, oh yeah. Got the Halloween gear. Roy Rogers and Dale Evans were out one day, and they had gone camping or something overnight, and he woke up. Roy Rogers woke up in the middle of the night, and his cowboys, of course, take their boots off to sleep, and he'd taken his boots off, and when he woke up in the night, he heard there was a cheetah, and the cheetah had just mauled his boots, just had snuck up on their camp and just tore his boots up, and he was like, oh boy, Roy Rogers, he wasn't going to put up with that, and so Dale said, what are you going to do? He said, I'm going to hunt that thing down. And so anyway, barefoot, he walked all the way across the plains, and of course, he just gets dragged out, and he finds the cheetah, and he pounces on him. He gets into this fight, and it's like a bare knuckle fight with a cheetah, and they wrestle around and all this, and he wins. And he's really mad because he had just bought these boots. They're brand new boots. The cheetah ruined them, And so he is the victor. He does kill the cheetah and throws it over his shoulder to take back a campsite. And he goes back to the campsite. And then he gets there, and Dale Evans says, pardon me, Roy, is that the cat that chewed your new shoes? Oh, I got a million of them, folks. Cat that chewed your new shoes. Anyway,